Valerie, you've been a volunteer. Okay, can we get a countdown going? We gotta get a countdown. We'll go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, there was a
One more, 2 more.
And I did a stint as a traffic director in the streets of Rome.
Our next contestant is Sue Allen. Hello, my name is Sue Allen, and I did a stint directing traffic in Rome. And our third and final contestant is Gordon Jackson.
Jackson, and I did a stint directing traffic on the streets of Rome.
These three people claim they have experience directing traffic on the busy streets of the metropolitan Rome, that eternal city in the heart of Italy. The hazards of the job include high-speed arterials intersecting at all angles, narrow streets, uneven surfaces built of century-old materials like cobblestone, and Italian drivers who do not have a reputation for patience. Panelist number 1, your 3 minutes of questioning begins now.
I would like to ask Jerem, what is the training that's entailed to be a traffic coordinator? Whatever it is you did.
Volunteer, and it didn't require any training.
Okay. How about panelist 2? What street were you on in Rome?
I have no idea.
Panelist 3, how did you end up in Rome?
I was on a trip with my parents.
All right.
Jerem, what was the pay for directing traffic in Rome? Wait, you said it was you
It was
volunteered.
the enjoyment of the experience.
And if I can ask a follow-up question, what brought this on? What prompted you then to jump into this role?
Well, it was a trip with classmates from business school, and one of my classmates was from Italy, and so he set it all up for us so we could do some volunteering.
Volunteering, directing traffic.
Yes.
And was this needed? Did the locals not have their traffic directed previously?
Well, it was Holy Week, and there was also a marathon that was like right before Holy Week, and so yeah, it was needed. There was a lot of people during that time.
Right. Sue Allen, what was the purpose of your traffic directing? And do you feel like it was fruitful?
It was to get the cars to go the direction they needed to go.
Can you please demonstrate? Gordon, could you please demonstrate how you directed the traffic there? Thank you, that will be all.
Number 1,
Are you sure you volunteered or were you forced to volunteer?
After my first shift, I would say it was questionable whether it was volunteer or not.
Your first shift. Okay. Who asked you to do the first shift? Was the court involved? I'm sorry, what was that?
So you're asking if I've done time?
No, I asked you if the court asked you to do the volunteer work.
Oh, you mean like picking up garbage on the side of the street?
No. Did the court say, you are asked to do so many hours of volunteer for a service to Rome?
The answer would be yes, but no, there's no court involved.
Number 2. How long have you been traveling
How long have I been traveling?
in Rome?
Oh, I was there for a weekish.
Weekish? Okay. Number 3. Can you show me that gesture again of what you did for parking? For stopping cars? What are you stomping on? Is it the road? Are you on the ground when you're doing this?
No, that's another car.
Oh, okay. Okay. Number 2. Do you like what you're doing as a volunteer? Did you like it?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Did you enjoy doing the volunteer work? Did it come from the heart? Oh, you guess. You guess. So you're not sure? Yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay. Number 1. Why were you asked to do the volunteer work? What did you do?
I wasn't asked, I volunteered.
No, I asked you, you said we brought the court involved. Why did the court have to intervene?
I didn't bring up the court.
But you answered that yes.
You're putting words into my mouth.
Okay. Okay, I think I got it.
Do any panelists have additional questions?
I don't know if this is legal, but Mary Ellen, in one of your previous jobs you were a police officer, is that correct?
Probation officer.
She was a probation officer, so she does know a thing or two here.
Actually, I do have one more question for number 1. You said you were there because there was a marathon? Did you guys participate in this marathon?
No, I was busy directing traffic.
So why were you there? You said it was for business?
Oh, it was with classmates, and it was spring break time of year. We had some time, and one of our classmates was from Italy, and so he set up some service opportunities for part of our time there.
Okay. All right.
Now, I'm having trouble wrapping my head around this service of directing traffic. Can you explain again why there was this big need for directing traffic?
There are a lot more people there, during these Holy Week and marathon events.
How many?
Well, I just saw the intersection I was standing in. There were a lot of people walking by, just so many tourists.
Were there cars involved? Camels?
Well, my intersection had a stoplight, and so when the stoplight, hit red, there'd be tons of people walking by, and then the rest of the time I was just more like a crossing guard. It wasn't really that bad.
Okay. And one last question. Gordon, can we see that one more time?
This is a question for all 3 of you. When you were out there on the street, were you wearing anything that showed that you were a crossing guard?
No.
No.
had a blue hat and some white gloves.
And who gave you those?
The coordinator.
Okay, so we have had our questions. Now we need the panelists and all of you to guess your guess. Who is telling the truth? Contestant number 1, contestant number 2, or contestant number 3? Show us on your fingers, and you guys too. Will the person who is telling the truth please stand?
When I was on semester abroad in Salzburg, Austria, our whole BYU group went to Rome for Easter week. And we had this cute little tour guide who was really a darling little lady. And she told the bus to turn down this street. Well, we got a block or two in, and the street became this wide, and our, big, huge tour bus wouldn't go. Simply wouldn't fit. And she said, well, the city buses go down here all the time. Well, the city buses are about half that size. So we all sat there for a bit, and Rome is crawling with these little itty bitty Fiats. They look round like a Volkswagen bus, or bug, only smaller. And so some policemen showed up, and they just stood there and laughed. So some of us got out of the bus and walked around the back, and we started telling all these little Fiats that they had to turn around and go out the other way. And somebody stood down at the beginning of the intersection and told everybody they couldn't come. I mean, I was doing this. So we managed to get all the traffic behind us, and it was a one-way street out, so that the bus could then back out and we could go around another way on bigger streets.
We're getting our new panelists on for round 2.
Exactly, you're right.
Come on, John Hickey. And now, of course, we need our contestants. Will the first contestant come and say your name and your claim?
I'm Hank Taylor, and I was on the team of scientists that successfully transmitted the first internet messages in 1976.
Wow.
Thanks, Hank. And contestant number 2.
I'm Richard Hyde. I was part of the team of scientists that transmitted the first internet message in 1976.
Contestant number 3.
My name is Donald Nielsen, and I was part of the scientific team that made the first successful internet transmission in 1976.
That they played a vital role on a team of research scientists and computer technicians who created the transport protocols that still to this day make the internet possible. They made the first transmission in 1976, melding a radio network and a wired network, which came across a repeater at the Stanford dish, continuing through gateways, transmitting the data from two computers in Boston and Los Angeles. Only one of these men is telling the truth. All right, panelists, are we ready? John, why don't we start with you?
Okay.
You get 3 minutes.
Hank, what was the internet called before it was called the internet?
ARPA.
What was that?
ARPA.
ARPA, okay. Contestant number 2, what does ARPA stand for?
Advanced Projects Research Administration.
Contestant number 3. 3, from where did you send the signal?
Well, I hate to say this, but it was a beer garden. Famous beer garden called Rosati's.
Yep.
So Dawn, I guess a follow-up question from how did you do it at this place? How did you send out the signal from the beer garden? What did you take there?
Carrier pigeon. I went from a terminal to two hosts.
That's good. Contestant number 1, Hank, what were the 2 hosts? Yeah.
You said from and to hosts. What were the 2 hosts you said from?
Okay. One in Geneva, Switzerland, and then of course the Stanford dish relayed on to Rosati's restaurant.
Okay. Matt, why don't you take a turn?
I'm still trying to think of a question I'll understand the answer to. So let's start with contestant, or is it contestant? Contestant number 2. How did you end up joining this team?
It was a natural extension of my previous research.
All right, and contestant number 3, who else was on the team with you?
There that day, there were probably 5 people, mostly onlookers, who had contributed earlier and were there for the occasion.
Okay, and contestant number 1, what were the various roles besides the onlookers? What's involved in sending this message? Are you like plugging something into something? Are you pushing buttons? Just trying to figure out what goes on at a beer garden. Ends up with a message going across the country for the first time.
If I heard the question correctly, what you have to do is have to have computers at each end to generate the message. It has a big header that has all the information in that tells where it's coming from, where it's going to. That header directs the direction, and you create the message with packets, basically, and undo the packets at the receiving end.
So is this like those punch cards? Is that what the packet is, or the header? I'm sorry, like I said, I don't know what is a header? What is a packet? Are these like physical things?
Yes, a packet is a bundle of bits.
There you go. Okay. All right. I'm happy to let you know.
We're really narrowing this down, aren't we? Let's get down to the real important stuff. Number 2, what was the message? Number 2, Richard.
I'm trying to remember, it's been a long time.
You were 3, right?
It was conveyance of a weekly report.
Conveyance of a weekly report, says number 3. Number 2, still thinking. Sounds right to you. Okay. Well, I could do the math, but you're probably a better mathematician. How about, Hank, what was that message that was sent? Was it from their side to here, or was the message, what was the message? The bundles and bits?
In the packet?
Yeah, what was in the packet?
It was, the weather's fine here, how are you doing in California?
Okay. Did this message result in any news? Did you get interviewed by anybody? Number 3?
The press wasn't there.
The press was not there.
And it went to destination where it should have been. It was a report that was submitted to the people who sponsored the project.
The people. Who were those people?
The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency.
Uh-huh. Okay. And number two, how many unsuccessful attempts were made before this one?
Well, there's quite a few unsuccessful attempts. I mean, this was the first mobile internet transmission.
Mobile. What do you mean by mobile?
There was a mobile vehicle that had the transmitting equipment in it, in a terminal. And the message was sent from the convenient parking lot at this restaurant to demonstrate the viability of mobile communications over the net.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, Hank, what did you have at the restaurant that day? Did you get yourself a nice hot dog?
Did you eat anything at the restaurant? Did you eat anything at the restaurant?
Yes, I had a hamburger.
Okay, I'm gonna hand off to somebody else for a minute.
That was your time. Any final questions?
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Each contestant, what was the color of the van that you drove?
Color of the van. Hank, what color was the van?
The van?
Mm-hmm.
It was white.
It
Richard?
was white, a little dirty, but white.
Don?
Silver.
When was the second ever internet transmission sent? First person to answer gets my vote for telling the truth.
When was the second time?
Was there a message right back, or did you have to wait like a few days,
Well,
or
we knew the message went through.
did you get a message back? Does that count as the second message?
If you want to.
All right, yeah.
And since they're throwing it back to you guys, I think it's a good time for us to start thinking about voting. Your thought, we talked, well, obviously, they've already made up their minds, you gotta make up your mind.
Wait, do we have to come to a consensus? Or just...
No, not at all.
Okay.
All right, we've given you a couple minutes to think about it. The microphone has spoken. John, who's your selection?
I think it's Dawn, contestant number 3.
All right, Matt?
I'm also voting for contestant number 3.
Katie, are you gonna make it unanimous?
Sure. Let's go for number 3.
All right, contestants, they're all voting for contestant number 3. Will the real person who launched the internet please stand? Oh, audience, please vote, vote. There's a 3. There's a 1.
There's a 2.
There's some 3s. Okay, there's a 1. All right. Will the real person who launched the internet please stand up?
I'm a better engineer than an actor.
Don, why don't you give us a little more flavor of what that day was like?
Well, I was the project leader of this so-called packet radio project, first mobile digital radio network anywhere. There were some fixed networks, but the first one that you could kind of tool around the Bay Area and have a reliable connection. So we had a couple of experimental transmissions. We decided to celebrate. So one of the fellows on the team decided, well, there's always Rosati's, because you can drive the van right up there, hook a cable to a table. By the way, the only thing on the table I remember, by the way, drinks was an empty Coke bottle with a flower in it. Only because I took a picture that day. But, so the notion was, this all was born in a military context and sponsored by the Defense Department. And so the notion was that the military was mobile. So the fixed network at that time, which was the ARPANET, had $1 million computers on it. The notion was that you couldn't haul those around, and yet the military was mobile, all 3 services. So you had to have a mobile digital network that would work in tandem with this fixed network, no matter where it was in the world. So the first one was the first connection between a LAN, a mobile system, and the wired network with all the expensive hosts. And 1 year later, approximately, a satellite was included. And so it went overseas and back for what some people call the first transmission, but it's all arbitrary. There is no first transmission for the capital I internet. We're talking about the transport protocol, which is still used to this day, and that's a miracle because you've gone from 0 hosts or 1 host or 2 to almost 1 billion. Your little pocket is a host, your little pocket smartphone is one. And you could scale to that level as a miracle of engineering. And I could explain to you after you want to know how that worked. I'll be happy to talk to you about the technical. Yeah. Anyway, nobody at that time had any clue as to what this would become. And it exceeded everybody's wildest imagination. It started the internet, the ARPANET itself was essentially a resource sharing network because the computers were so expensive that you had to go cross-net in order to use them. And so over time, it all got scaled down and affordable, and now you all have one in your pocket.
Okay, everyone. I first am going to give you the results of the root beer voting. I was a little surprised. Coming in the third place goes to Virgil's with 28 votes. River City came in second place with 33 votes. And number 1 goes to Teddy's. So thanks for participating with that. I'm going to make an announcement, 2 announcements. The first announcement is when we're done here, there's yummy ice cream sitting right over here on the countertops for you to enjoy. And the last announcement is I'd like to call up the ragtag team of 13 that helped plan this event so that you could all see who these meetings were very animated and hilarious. So, shall we take, Mary, please come. You were on the team. Oh, great, that was great. Yeah. All right, crazy team of 13, let's take it out.